Hello everyone. So in this video we will try to understand how the scoring works on the new SAT. So first things first, you know that on the new SAT you have only two sections. You have a math section and you have an evidence-based reading and writing section. So each of these will be scored between 200 to 800 points. So the final score that you get will be between 400 and 1600 points. The lowest you will get is 400. The highest you can get is 1600. The essay, on the new SAT will be scored separately. It will have no impact on your score out of 1600. And that is what we are bothering with right now. So how is this score calculated? How do you arrive at, a score out of 800 for math and for English? That's basically what we're trying to understand in this video. So let's start with English first, which is your evidence-based reading and writing section. Again, it will have two parts under it. So there will be a reading test, which is your reading comprehension, which will be out of 400 marks. And there will be a writing test or a writing and language test, which will also be for 400 marks. So that basically adds up to your 800 score. How is this 400 point score calculated for reading and writing? Let's try to understand that. So you see how it works is, you first have to find out a scale score for reading and writing both. So what is the scale score? The scale score is basically a score between 10 and 40. So there is a table actually that the SAT uses, a conversion table. So what happens is you count the number of questions you've got correct in the reading test. Let's start with reading. So you count the number of questions you've got correct. The numbers you've got incorrect makes no difference because there is no negative marking on the new SAT, right? So you count the number of questions you get correct, and then you look at the chart, the conversion chart. On that chart, you will have a value corresponding to each score that you've got correct basically. So let's say if you've got 23 questions correct out of reading. So when you go and take a look at the chart, it might give you a score, let's say 25. So this is basically your scale score on reading. Similarly, you go to the writing section and you count the number of questions you've got correct. Go to the chart. Again, the chart goes from 10 to 40. And let's say you get a 30 over here. Yeah, let's say you get a 30 over here. So you have a 25 in reading and a 30 in writing. This is your scale score. So now how do you convert this into a score out of 800? It's very simple. You add this. So you basically get a 55 in this case. So you add the two scale scores and you multiply it by 10. So 55 into 10, which is nothing but 550. So 550 is what you've got out of 800 on this section. So you add the two scale scores and you multiply by 10. So then it's very easy to figure out that you basically got a 250 in reading in this particular case and a 300 in writing. So that's basically how the score on reading and writing is calculated. So it's not directly converted from the number of questions you got correct to a score out of 800. First, from the number of questions you got correct, you get a scale score using a chart. And then from there, you get the final score out of 800. So that's how the scoring is done. Now, the math section is far simpler. It's straight away you can read off the score from a table that's given to you based on the number of questions you've got correct. So there is no scaling involved in the math section. So let's say you got 30 questions correct. You go to the table, it will give you a corresponding score out of 800, for 30 correct questions. Could be 600, could be 650, could be whatever. So that's how the scoring works on the new SAT. You can now continue reading through your book.